Welcome to another episode of the Process Podcast. If you are a member of the Process community, on the leaderboards on the Compete and Elite tracks, you'll see one Jonathan Oy coming out of Brunei as the fittest person in Malaysia from 2020 and a few other years. And he's on the top of the leaderboard quite often on the Process leaderboard as well. That's how I first met him. And he is with us here at Coastal Fitness doing an immersion experience for the last week. And we are wrapping up that week with a conversation of what it is to be a great athlete, a great coach, and a great husband and father. Get to know Mr. Jonathan Oy. Welcome to the Process Podcast, John.
Thank you, Chris.
I understand that you are a listener of the podcast. So how does it feel like to be a guest?
Oh, this has been like a dream. Like I've always wanted to be, to be interviewed or to have a conversation.
Yeah.
So it's finally a dream come true.
Awesome, man. I remember when, before I joined the Process, I came on as a guest because I was visiting Hong Kong shortly after the COVID lockdown in China was lifted. And I found my way here, and Ed said, after a day of training here with the team, to come as a guest and just to do a conversation about my life and my career. So it's always nice having these conversations, and it's always cool bringing people in whenever they're coming around. And for you yourself, you're not from here, from Hong Kong. Yeah. You're from Brunei. And first of all, just gonna kind of just tell the guests what brings you here to Coastal Fitness at the headquarters of the Process programming.
So the sole reason for me being here is to basically do a week of immersive with the team. Think of it as like an internship, apprenticeship. I basically just kind of surround myself with the team on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
And I came in just wanting to see what it was like to see how Coastal operates as a business, primarily. And secondary goal would be to see how you guys do things on the floor, like coaching, programming, and the back end stuff that you guys do as well. But definitely coming in. So I've been here twice.
Right.
2 years ago, I think 23 was the first camp, and then 24. And both of those times were athletes. Was as an athlete.
Right.
So never got to see you guys coach. What goes on behind the scenes. So this was definitely more from the behind the scenes kind of thing. Seeing you guys, how you guys work and all that. And it's great. Like definitely opened my eyes to a lot of things, and we'll definitely touch base on it later as well.
I mean, that's a cool thing that you get to do, which I think Ed mentioned in Instagram was something that we haven't done before, is bring in people for this immersive experience, call it an apprenticeship, call it an internship, whatever it is. You're here for a week kind of seeing how the operations team does their day-to-day jobs, how the coaches are able to uphold their standards with each other and, meet their goals every month, and basically how this place runs.
Yeah.
Because I understand that that's going to be, or it has recently become your new responsibility over at Jab Gym Brunei.
Correct, that's right. Yeah.
Which briefly explain kind of your background in coaching as well.
Yeah. So so I went in a boutique gym called Jab Gym Brunei. We are basically a boutique boxing gym, but we also diverse our classes towards things like high rocks, strength and conditioning. We offer yoga, Pilates, bar, and whole other stuff. So we're like an all-in-one stop kind of gym,
right? That
has this boutiqueness to it. So I came in as a coach, and now I am as fitness coordinator. So as a coordinator, I'm in charge of, I overlook my fitness team.
Right.
So obviously trying to come in here and see how Ed and the team work around with each other, and see how I can take that and improve how I handle my team as well.
Okay.
Or help them succeed even better, to soar higher.
Great.
Yeah.
And then the last thing, you've talked about yourself as an athlete, as a coach. And the last thing that I'd like to talk about, because I also have personal experience in this, is that you've recently become a father. So talk about kind of what that's like. Where are you in the stage of fatherhood right now?
So, yeah, I mean, Levi is 10 months old. It's been crazy. It's been a whirlwind. No amount of books or what people say to you will prepare you for it.
Right.
I went through ups, downs, ins and outs. But at the end of the day, man, it's pure joy. I think having him around, like, you realize that like things like training, competing, they all take the back seat I never thought that would ever happen to me. I've always
Right.
been, a guy who loves training, loves competing. And when we were planning to have kids, I even told my wife like, "Hey, can we hold on till I'm like 32?" Because so I got married at 28, and I was like, I want to try and compete more, and trying to push my potential. Try to see how far I can get. So we held on having kids for the first 4 or 5 years, and man, like just even like having a kid, it just changed the whole perspective. Like
Sure.
that being an athlete, being training really hard doesn't really matter as much
Yeah.
anymore.
I mean, you told me yourself, asking you about your schedule today, and you planned to
Yeah.
train this morning at 6 a.m., but then, Levi needed to be fed. So
Yeah.
you decided to stay home. So you still haven't trained.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's not a huge deal
No,
for you.
it's not anymore. Like back then, it bothered me so much. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, like an itch you can't stretch.
For sure.
But now I'm just like, yeah, whatever, man. I can train tomorrow.
Yeah, it very much. I mean, I would admit to it is to an extent, like gym and training is like a drug,
Yeah,
right,
it
that we're
is.
addicted to,
Bad
and
drug. Oh, good drug actually. Well, good or bad.
yeah, I guess so. And it really cuts both ways, right? It makes you better, but it also makes you obsess over the little things. And it's like in the grand scheme of things, one day in a week, much less one day in the month or in the year, is not going to, it's not going to be the end of your fitness or anything like that.
And it goes along with maturity as well. Like, when I was like 28, 29, I would never skip training. Like I would, on holidays, I would still find a gym.
Even if you're sick, right?
Yeah, I would try somehow to get training in, and missing a day would be like the end of the world. Like,
Yep.
Like it just feels like that's it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of I don't know whether it coincides with having Levi as well, but as I got older, I realized I could skip days out.
Sure.
And it doesn't matter to your overall fitness.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't change anything.
I mean, yeah, physiologically speaking,
Yeah.
right? You can go, I had a former client who shared this with me, you can go a week, 2 weeks, even 3 weeks without seeing some, strength losses. And, when you go back from vacation, it's just a body recomp of you're holding more water and you're eating more carbohydrates and a bit more fat, but like the muscle is still there. It just takes about a week for you to kind of get back to stasis.
I agree. And I'll give you an example. So when I tore my ACL, I was very hesitant to do a surgery because it meant I was like out for 9 months.
Right.
But what I realized later on was doctors said 9 months as in contact sports. CrossFit isn't really a contact sport, and we don't really move in different planes. You can go forward and backwards.
Exactly. And everything's predictable.
Correct. So it was very controlled. So I was back in the gym sooner than I thought, but doing my own thing. So not doing CrossFit WODs because it was too explosive, too dynamic. But just in the gym, immersing myself with the community and all that.
Yeah.
And I remember about 7 months in. So I've snatched by then, but nothing heavy.
Right.
I remember 7 months in, we had like the class was doing like a 1RM test of snatch.
Okay.
And I don't know, for some reason, I just kind of joined in. I just hopped in thinking, oh, you know what, I'll go up to like 80%. I just joined the hype.
Whatever feels good.
Whatever feels good. And I ended up doing PR that day. And I was completely shocked because I was like, I haven't snatched heavy in the last 7 months. And to come back and to like, 7 months post-op, 7 months having touched a heavy barbell to PR.
Right.
It just showed me that you can take away yourself from doing something for a couple of months.
Yeah.
And the muscle memory is still there.
Yeah.
The body comp is still there somewhat.
Right.
So I think that kind of set the tone for like, okay, well, if I miss a day, isn't that bad?
Yeah. And, I'm glad you kind of went there because, we talked about this briefly before we started recording, is you did tear your ACL, and then within your rehabilitation time, that's also the time where you became the fittest in Malaysia.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that I understand you as, because when you joined the process, I saw you in leaderboards and everything, and this dude's super fit. And then, just out of curiosity, I looked you up on the CrossFit Games website, and you were climbing up year after year up the leaderboards in your country, and then you made it to number 1 in Malaysia in 2020. And number 1, you kept coming off an ACL energy. That's crazy that you're able to do that. Number 2, that was essentially your ticket to go to the games. Unfortunately, that was also the year that everything shut down because of COVID.
Correct.
And then, the old system from 2019 of, national champions going to the games, that was done away with naturally. So that being said, you had this huge accomplishment being the fittest person in your country.
Yeah.
Now, since then, you've still been in the top 4. So you're still kind of climbing up and down the ladder of like, am I the fittest? Can I be there? And the potential is there is what I'm seeing. So where right now do you stand as an athlete in the sport of CrossFit?
So so that 2019 season was a little bit different because we had 2 opens,
Right. Yeah.
right? So we had the usual opens in March, and we had one in like August, September.
Right.
So actually, so we had one after the games.
Mhm.
So initially, what happened was in the first opens, the original opens in 2019, I actually finished top first. The one that they went to the game, the only one that said national champs.
Right.
So I booked my place, and what happened was, so this is a little bit, it's probably more my fault than anything. When I was submitting my videos, one of the things I didn't do was when I taped the lines for the wall balls. So they took 19.1, which is the roll
And wall ball
one.
Yeah.
I had a really thick masking tape on.
Yeah.
And then I didn't measure it, and that's probably my fault. So I kind of looked up in the camera and said, that's 9 feet, 10 feet, sorry.
Right.
But I didn't explain whether it's the top of the line or the bottom of the line.
I see.
Right. So when I sent my videos, they sent back saying, hey, John, thanks for submitting the video. We were unsure whether the top of the line or the bottom line was 10 feet. So we had to go with the top of the line, which it actually was at the bottom. And because of that, a lot of the balls was no reps. So they cut my score for that one.
That was a strict year. I remember there were a few athletes. One that comes to mind immediately is Christian Lucero, where there was a lot of controversy between him and HQ about what is the middle of the medicine ball to be able to make that target.
It was so strict.
Yeah.
So then I got I dropped down to about 4th, and they backfilled to this guy who came second, and he went to the games. So that was a terrible first half for me because I felt like, everyone's like, oh well, he probably cheated and like didn't do well, whatever. And so that second opens, like I worked so hard.
Sure. Yeah.
Just to not silent doubters, but to prove myself that I can get it.
Yeah.
So yeah, COVID happened, and I didn't get to go, but the feeling of being accepted and getting a ticket kind of cemented that redemption kind of feel.
Right.
So yeah, but after that, in 2022, I became fittest again. So I was fittest twice.
Okay.
But after 22 was when I kind of flooded between the top 3 and top 4. And I think also at the same time, CrossFit was going through like a big change. They sold the business and all that. They changed the format. Quarterfinals came in. So the opens wasn't as important because it doesn't matter where you place, right?
Yeah.
As long as you qualify to the quarterfinals.
Right.
So after that, everything became a one and done kind of thing. So my placing in the opens wasn't as vital.
Right.
The performance in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
But so this is the open. This year was the opens. The first time that I didn't join the opens. So it's been like 10 years. Just because I think the format has changed so much, and I was really bummed that they took away the quarterfinals because like us, we're not really the semifinals. Well, I mean, you are a semifinals level athlete, but I'm not a semifinal athlete. So we are around the quarterfinal range, right? And that's why we kind of like thrive in, and we enjoy that kind of like, oh yeah, we made it to the quarterfinals. Right. We're gonna spend the next 3 days kind of just having like a nice simulation with friends. But taking that away, I felt was really uncalled for, and you just do the opens and that's it.
Yeah.
What do you do now, right? Like usually we'll be prepping for the quarters.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're fluctuating a lot. So being an athlete now, I think part of me has kind of turned my head away from CrossFit a little bit.
I see.
And just focusing on other stuff like High Rocks.
Yeah.
But I still believe in the CrossFit mythology. I still believe CrossFit is, I mean, obviously because it helped me got to where I am. Right. The strongest, the fittest I've ever been. So I still believe in it. It's just that I think from an athlete's point of view and CrossFit point of view, right. There's probably a shift in direction.
Well, one thing that, because I'm in that similar place where I didn't sign up for the Open for the first time since I started CrossFit. So my first Open was 2017. 2025 is my first year where I didn't sign up for the Open. But in terms of what matters to me, like I love being on the competition floor, right? Online competitions are fine, but it's just not the same. I think so many people would agree with that. Yeah. Fortunately, in Asia, there's a ton of different competitions that are annual and are high level. You have Callus Games, you have
AFC.
You have AFC here in Shanghai. You have so many different competitions in the Asia region that you can really make a good career out of it. Is that something that you're pivoting towards as well?
Yeah. So I talked to a few guys here, like Karan and all that, and we kind of split the season. I've probably split the season up a little bit. So obviously I didn't do CrossFit Opens. I didn't sign up for the CrossFit Opens this year, but I still did the workouts just because, just want to to see what fitness is like.
I mean, you saw me doing that last
Yeah. So I think the first half of the year will be more towards high rocks. So I got a comp in Bangkok in May, and probably do one more again, maybe in Singapore or wherever.
Yeah.
And the back half of the year is usually where Catalyst comes in,
Yeah.
AFC,
Right.
Ward Off,
and Jakarta.
Throwdown. Yeah. So I will still definitely compete in those comps. It's just that because that's the back half of the year. The first half is just there to do whatever you want to do, try new sports, do new things.
I see.
So I still definitely compete, I reckon.
Yeah.
I probably won't do. Ironically, I'm not a big individual person. Because growing up, I played a lot of tennis, and it was just such an individual sport, and I just hated it so much because I think mentally it just eats you up. So
like all the weight on your shoulders.
Yeah, correct.
Individually,
you can't do anything else. So I think, ever since I crossed it, it's always been doing teams. I've always been a team guy.
Yeah.
So if I can find a team, I'll definitely compete.
Okay, great. And there's options abound for that. So I mean, look out for the season for always team. Right on, man.
Yeah.
And then I guess real quick too is, besides competition and being on a team on the competition floor, you're also on the process programming. How did you find yourself on the program? Because like I said, you were one of the first people I saw on the leaderboard to always be chasing. Like, I can almost get this guy. Fittest dude in Malaysia. And then at some point I was like, well, I'm not going to be catching up to him anymore.
It was cool. Like, I mean, like I just love how we met without even knowing each other.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Chris. Like, I remember I'll come in the morning because you used to work out really early in the morning.
Yeah.
So I come in about 10 o'clock in the morning, look at the leaderboard, like, what weight should I hit today? Look at Chris. Okay. Ballpark around there.
So I would set the tone for you.
Yeah. Sometimes we'll go vice versa as well.
Sure, exactly.
So I loved it. So I chose the process. So before the process, I was bouncing around different programs. So I tried a bit in ComTrain.
Yeah.
And then at some point I was with Proven, but back then it was called T-Fitness. And I realized with those two programs, they favored the Western body type. So the
what do you mean by that?
So I felt like the weights are very heavy for us as Asians. So they were doing stuff like, in the workout they'd be doing like 30 clean and jerks at 185.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
And I was just like, yeah, it's doable, but I could never finish the workouts.
Yeah.
Because it's just too heavy for me.
Yeah. It's very much a bigger athlete kind of.
And I reckon, and
workout.
I assume because guys in the States, guys in Europe are just bigger than us naturally, so they can move the weight better.
Sure.
I like to think that. Not that we're just not strong enough, but so
what do you mean?
So 2019, I did prior to 2019, never heard of Ed. Never. I've heard of Ant because he came to Brunei to do a comp with one of the local comps, but just never heard much about the process.
Okay.
So what happened was 2019, I did Ward Off Jakarta.
Yeah.
And I did really well in that comp. I came fifth.
Nice.
And what struck me, I told it as many times, what struck me was in day one, we had a typical one arm snatch. That's like the heavy lift, right? But in day two, we had to come and measure our body weight. And I was just like, oh, I've not done this before.
As part of the competition?
Yeah. So you checked in the morning.
Yeah.
They weighed you that morning. And back then I was very loud. I was about 73, 74. So I thought it was a bit unusual. And I realized later on, the workout was a strength endurance test. So AMRAP body weight cleans, which favored the lighter guys because, and I was like, this is a great way to balance out that heavy lift because obviously a 73 kilo guy versus like 100 kilo guys.
Yeah.
They found to lift more. So I just thought the programming that set the tone for programming, and I just really enjoyed that and I really appreciated that. And I realized that and I had to figure out who the programmer was because it felt balanced. It suited the big guys, the strong guys, but also suited shorter and lighter guys.
Yeah.
And I found it was Ed, so I reached out.
I see.
And the rest is history. Still a process. 6 years later. 6 years? Yeah, 6 years. Damn.
Yeah, man. You probably would have been one of the first like online adopters.
Yeah. And then it's so cool. I watched it grow so much.
Yeah.
I remember back then, you could only see day to day. So like,
I see.
You know how we could see like 5 days ahead now and see the program? That was day to day. So you couldn't plan your week. So I've seen the process grow, and I feel like I've been part of that journey, growing with it.
Yeah.
So definitely a lot of investment emotionally and physically with it.
Yeah.
And it's just been great.
I wanted to quickly interrupt this episode with a quick shout out to our sponsors, Today Well Spent. I've been using this journal for 2 years and it has made a massive impact on my physical, but mostly my mental well-being. It is a guided journal backed by neuro and behavioral science, which I actually didn't know at the time. It has questions for you to answer at the start of the day, at the end of the day, end of every week, end of every month. And it's brought so much self-awareness to me of the things that positively and negatively impact my life. So if you're someone who cares about your physical and your mental well-being, which I think you do because you listen to this podcast, then go and grab yourself a Today Well Spent. Use the discount code THEPROCESS, one word in capitals, to get your discount.
I mean, it's funny that you say that, because just thinking back about, your journey as an athlete, and then also, you're developing too as a coach. And when you're talking about transitioning out of a lot of the competition part of CrossFit, but you are becoming more and more of a coach and more of a professional in the fitness space.
Yeah.
And that's where your priorities have seemed to shift. And,
Yeah.
you could have come here to do the immersion experience, just training all day, doing,
Correct.
2 training sessions a day on the elite program, but you didn't. You did your training that you had to do, but your priority here was to learn
Correct.
from the professionals on the team about how to run a gym at a high standard.
Yes.
Because that's what you're doing now, as a person who's leading the coaching team, and as a person that's going to be leading parts of the operations.
Yeah.
And that's the other part that I wanted to ask about was, you yourself are a professional coach. You also joined the individual coaching course that we have here.
Yep.
And also, it seems like you're always aligned with kind of where the process is every step of the way. So tell us about a little bit your journey into coaching, where that fit in with our coaching course, and also kind of the things that you learned from our coaches while you've been here for a week.
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think so I started coaching in 2015 as a part-time coach at my local box, just to earn extra income.
Yeah.
Coaching on the side, get free membership. Who doesn't want free membership, right?
Yeah, I think that's the way we all start. It's like, if I don't have to pay for this, then,
and I can
give
train
me a
for free.
class.
So I did that for about 5 years. So and in that 5 years, I grew as a CrossFit coach. So became not so much in PTs, but more because it's a part-time job. So more as group classes, trying to hone my skill as a group class coach. And then 2020, Jab reached out and asked if I wanted to work with them. And without a doubt, I said yes, because they were, in my opinion, at that time, still are a step up in the level of just business-wise. They are a well-run organization.
Right.
So most CrossFit gyms back home are just a gym, right? Like they do classes and all that. But with Jab, we have multiple classes, we have multiple coaches, different from all fields, and it wasn't a CrossFit gym, and I wanted to immerse myself in something a little bit different.
Sure.
Because the last 5 years I was in this CrossFit bubble.
Yeah.
So everything's about CrossFit, the pyramid, everything. So
forth. I think kind of what you're saying. Let me see if I could state this kind of accurately. A CrossFit gym is nice, and there's a community aspect is there, and the classes and everything, but it's just like this enclosed space of just, this is the world we live in. And it's kind of a bubble in the sense that I think outside of CrossFitters, no one knows about the open, no one knows about most athletes. So it's kind of just niche in that regard.
Very niche.
Whereas at a place like Jab, where there's a diverse, course menu from boxing to high rock, and also there's a standard here of these are the steps that we take for group class coaching, for PT 101. Like, you can see more of a structure and a path to professionalism there.
So when I went to Jab, one of the biggest thing culture shock, I guess you could say, was the amount of hours they worked. Obviously, I would coach as a part-timer, like 1 or 2 classes a day. But I went from 1 or 2 classes, like 5 or 6 a week, to like 20, 25, including PTs as well.
This is your your weekly workload.
Yeah, weekly workload. So it was a huge shock to me. Like back in CrossFit, we're not a big morning gym, so we don't do 6 a.m. classes. Suddenly doing 6 a.m. classes. Like, wow, who works at 6 a.m. right? And just the standards that we have to follow. So we just rock up, just coach a class and leave. It was like, this is how you coach a class. So I was taught how to coach a class, the professionalism side of it. Everything was by the book. And one of the biggest takeaways from it was there was outside of the CrossFit methodology, there was other stuff
Mhm.
like performance. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Performance.
So excited.
Yeah, performance aspect. There was the corrective aspect. There
Yeah.
was just so much more to learn.
Yeah.
So one of the things that Jab makes us do when we're coming into it is we have to we need to be certified personal trainer.
Mhm.
So I went under NASM
I see.
or NSAM, I don't know
Yeah.
how to pronounce it. So I did that course during COVID, and then I went into the corrective specialist side of it.
Mhm.
So working with athlete or members who had injury issues, prehab, rehab. That's something I was very into because of my ACL.
I see. Yeah.
But when the ICC came about, I think to answer your question, I've always been aligned with the process, and why I stayed so long with the process because the philosophy that Ed has ingrained in the team
Mhm.
and to the clients that he has, I align with him as well in terms of the way that you don't have to work hard all the time. Like that's not wrong. You don't have to kill yourself every single session.
Mm.
Right? There are days that's why you have Saturday testers.
Yeah.
So there are days where you push hard. There's days where you kind of hold back and you just work in isolation, or you work in different parts, modalities. So I really align with that. His programming speaks out to me. So when the ICC came about, in my mind, it's an opportunity to see what Ed thinks and how he thinks. And because I'm a big believer of what he does, it was no brainer to kind of sign up.
I see.
And the courses was different. Like I did the L1s, I did NASM, and all very textbook. It's all like perfect client. This is how you test. This is how you assess. But we never get a perfect client.
Right.
We got clients coming with
Rarely.
this. Rarely. So I feel like the ICC is very client oriented. So they don't base it off a perfect client.
Right.
It's based on experiences.
Yeah.
So Ed will share his experience with certain clients. Liam will do the same thing, and we have the cohort calls, which is great because everyone shares a bunch of stuff, and I think that's where you learn.
Yeah.
So I think L1s, NASM, all that are great to kickstart, but the ICC is where if you want to know what coaching really is, like on a one-on-one basis, the ICC is the most realistic.
When did you start coaching clients one-on-one?
When I started Jab. So,
Oh, okay.
so sorry. Previously, my last year before Jab, I started doing PTs, but really, Jab was where I was introduced to like a bunch of different clients.
And this is where I always ask, especially when we're talking about CrossFit coaches or group coaches, whether you're F45 or some other HIIT facility where your experience is just teaching everyone at once. What was it like going from teaching a full class to one person?
It's tough. The expectation, the deliverables was very tough.
Yeah.
Because if a class is like, okay, guys, going PR today. Oh, you don't hit PR. It's okay. We try again next cycle. But if a client who's paying you, right, you're like, hey, why did I not PR?
I see.
And you're like, oh crap, like why not losing weight?
Yeah.
And so there's that pressure.
It's more directly accountable to you.
Correct, exactly. Obviously, there's ways to like kind of dissolve that kind of pressure and like kind of explain to them and all that. But there is the expectations from clients that they want to see the weight drop. They want to see the numbers go up in terms of strength. So that was really tough to adjust to. But I love one-on-ones and I love group classes. I feel like whether it's one-on-ones or group classes, there's a bond between myself and clients, and I have no issues with either or. I enjoy doing both.
Do you have a day where you're jumping between group classes and one-on-ones throughout the day?
Yeah, every day.
What's that like in terms of, because when I do, sometimes I'll have a 5:30 a.m. class with a group, and then I'll have a 7 a.m. PT, and going from speaking to the whole group and having that big loud voice to bringing it down to just one person in the room with me. Sometimes like I forget that I don't have to be loud, which people tell me all the time. But what's that like? Do you find it's easy to get into your rhythm from group class to one-on-one, or is it always a constant struggle of getting the right energy and tone out there?
That's a good question. I never thought of it that way. I never thought of the switch between group classes and one-on-ones. I mean, I do. So for example, on Mondays, I'll do a 6 and 7, and then it's gonna have a little break in between.
I see.
Then I'll do my one-on-ones.
Yeah.
So maybe that downtime allows me to kind of bring my energy down a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure I've done back-to-backs going from group to one-on-ones before. I don't know.
Or do you feel like you're kind of in a flow state?
Yeah, I feel like I'm in flow state. So on Saturdays, for example, I do a 7 a.m. class, a Harold's class. And it's, Harold's is like all about energy and like
Yeah.
getting out there. And straight after that, 8 o'clock, I'll do a 101. So sometimes the 101 will probably receive a bit of the tail end of the energy.
I see.
But I'll try to channel that energy to that client so that they can get kind of hyped up for their session as well.
Yeah.
Because on Saturday, 8 a.m., it's not usually the nicest time to wake up and do a PT session.
Yeah.
So they feel a bit tired. So maybe having that tail end of energy is good for them as well. But yeah, it's definitely a flow.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a flow. I never thought about it that way.
But it sounds like you're putting a lot of energy into
yeah.
coaching. So I wonder too, again, with your seasons of life and stuff, everyone has a finite amount of energy that they have during the day, during the week, during the month, whatever. Because you're doing so much more coaching now, have you found that you've had to take away energy from the training and go in more coaching? One thing that I do remember is there were times when you were on the elite program where there was 2 sessions a day for 5-6 days a week. Now you're doing compete, and sometimes you're kind of jumping between the two. So what is it like, dedicating more energy into coaching more than you did as an athlete?
So I tried in a week. I mean, I try to get as much training as I can. So during off season, I'll try to do as much elite as I can because I enjoy training so much.
Yeah.
So what I usually do is, so before I had Levi as well, because Levi comes to play this as well.
Of course.
I would just go with the day. So Monday I'll do more AM whenever I can, and then PM whenever I can.
Yeah.
But the last couple of months, the last 6 months, I would say, it's been looking at the week and then allocating what I can do on a Monday morning, for example. So Monday morning, I have a bit more time between classes and PT.
Yeah.
So about 2 hours. What can I fit in that 2 hours? I'll do like, all my hardest stuff first. So all the squats, all the lifts, especially I can get it out of the way first throughout the week. And then just kind of see where I can put pieces together. So it's very sporadic. Definitely not the best way to train, but it helps me tick what I need to do throughout the week. But yeah, the energy has definitely dropped on certain days where I feel very tired. So I don't train twice a week every single day now. On Tuesday, I'll do once. I'll go a single session on Tuesdays. In fact, I think most days I'll go single sessions. It's only Mondays and Wednesdays I'll do a double.
Yeah.
So
that's the only time you have
correct
time for it.
Prior to this, it was doubles every single day.
Yeah.
With like 1 day off.
Yeah.
Now it's definitely 2 days off, man.
Yeah. Well, and this is the thing that's always interesting to me, that when we're competing in CrossFit, so many of us are coaches, so the question is, how do you balance both, right? How do you become a high level coach and a high level athlete at the same time? Yeah. What's your take on that? Can you be both?
I think you can be both.
How?
I don't know. It's a good question. I think being disciplined is probably the most important thing. So not succumbing to these distractions. So I definitely think, I don't think it's a split 50-50. I think it's too hard to achieve that.
Yeah.
I think back in the 2019, 2020, I was definitely more of a higher level athlete than a high level coach. But now I feel like I flipped the switch around. So I'm better as a coach, less as an athlete. But the goal is it's like CrossFit, trying to push all the numbers up, all the modalities up.
Right.
As a coach and athlete, just trying to improve one aspect while pulling the other up at the same time, or trying to maintain that. But it's definitely hard to do both. But I think being disciplined is one. I see a lot of coaches out there now who be like, oh yeah, I can't train because I got so and so and so.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Obviously you want to focus on the clients and all that, but don't call yourself like a high level athlete if you can't dedicate yourself to that, So I think definitely trying to split your time as much as you can. And when it's coaching, it's coaching. When it's training, it's training. Don't mix both. Don't in between sets, respond to a client.
I see.
Or
So really
you gotta
separate that headspace.
You gotta do that, because a coaching hat and an athlete has two different things. And I think it's a lifestyle change as well. So a coaching lifestyle, you're on the floor, you're coaching.
Yeah.
That's where it happens the most.
Yeah.
The studying back end can happen, in your downtime. But an athlete lifestyle, revolves throughout the day, like your food, your nutrition, your recovery. So
Right. It's not the things that's just in the gym.
correct, right? So I feel like if you can still do the things that you're doing in the gym, but you're still prioritizing. So let's say after work, you're still recovering, you're still eating well. I think you can still keep that high level athlete lifestyle. Because if you look at like Brent Fikowski, Matt Fraser, they have their own like programs going on.
Yeah.
And they're great coaches as well. And Rich Froning as well. So how do they balance both? I'm sure there's a way to do it. It's just that you gotta be super disciplined.
Yeah, I think that's where, because I was wondering what you meant by distractions and not succumbing to them.
Yeah.
And the way that it sounds like you're saying is, number one, don't be distracted as a coach with your athlete endeavors, and don't be distracted as an athlete with your coaching endeavors. Separate the two whenever you're in that space.
Yeah.
And number two is, there's more to being a good athlete than being a good performer in the gym. You have to get your sleep right. You have to get your nutrition right.
Yeah.
And distractions could be getting distracted and not being able to sleep your 7 to 9 hours, being distracted and having a shitty meal because you didn't have the time to plan for a good nutritious meal. That's what you mean by distractions.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. So I think, I just think it revolves around that. I think being disciplined as much as you can.
Yeah. I mean, that's, when it comes down to it, the discipline thing is so important, but it's also so hard to come by in terms of so hard to maintain. You can have a really good disciplined week, and it's like, just because you had the perfect disciplined week now, the next week something can throw you off.
For sure.
Right? Life can throw you off. You might get sick. You might get too busy with work. And then you have to be able to pivot, right?
Yeah. Yeah, correct. So, coming in here and seeing how how Ann does his thing. So Ann's a great coach as well.
Yeah.
And he's also a great athlete. And I'm always seeing, and I think, I've seen firsthand over the week, he'll come in for a meeting, you do a meeting, and that meeting is like, so much information. And I can see him just digesting everything.
Yeah.
And straight after that meeting is done, hat switches, boom, qualifier workout.
Could you say you could see that switch?
Yeah, definitely.
What does it look like to you?
Pardon?
What does it look like to you?
Just that focus. Like he's in here, he's talking, he's like, explaining, to the team what's happened, stuff like that. And as soon as he goes out the door, like he knows that's done. Like the business of being a coach, being a team player is done.
Yeah.
Now it's the floor.
Yeah.
And he goes down and you can just see the flip the switch. Like I think it's in the eyes, man. It's like laser focus. But it's good to see. If I can see just see the shift.
Yeah.
I think most people can do it as well. They just have to get to that mindset, and I think I've heard Ant either on IG or on the podcast saying that he wishes he could have that perfect athlete life where he doesn't have to worry about coaching,
right?
Just focus on just recovery, nutrition, and spend his whole life just honing his career.
I mean, that's kind of why I asked you if is it possible to be a high level coach and athlete? Because being a high level athlete these days, at least, there was a time in CrossFit when there was a lot of piss and vinegar where like people figure it out and can make it to the high level. Yeah. Now the level is so high that unless you're a full-time athlete, it becomes harder and harder to be anything but an athlete, right?
And I don't think there's, unless you have a well supported team behind you that can help carry you. Yeah, I think it's tough, man. And I think for most of us who rely on coaching as our to make an income, to make a living,
your livelihood.
Yeah, you gotta do both.
I mean, and that. I love doing like transitions to the next subject. Yeah. For you, it's not just livelihood for yourself, it's for your family as well, right? Because now you have your wife, you have Levi, and it's not just coaching as a passion, it's coaching as a means of income, right? So you got to get your coaching hours right. You got to hit your KPI because you got to make your money, right? So what's that been like? Putting all those pieces together. You have your athlete hat, you have your coaching hat, and now you have your dad hat and your husband hat. Yes. So what has that balance been like for you these last, let's say specifically 10 months since Levi was born?
So I think the first 2 to 3 months, it was about no, that's not true. I think it's a constant figuring out, constant changing. Because as he gets older, his needs changes as well. Like his wake time is more now, for example, right? So I told myself before we had Levi, or when he was about to be born, when we had Levi, training to take a back seat. Like something has to give. training would take a back seat. I'm like,
Did you have a specific idea what that would look like
no,
when you?
I
Yeah,
know. But I told myself that, and I think I was mentally just preparing myself.
yeah,
But to be honest, like training has taken a back seat somewhat. Like today, for example, I wanted to train in the morning, I couldn't.
yeah.
But I will still try to get as much done as I can.
Mm.
But I'm not too fussed if I don't get everything done.
Mm.
But the training has taken a back seat for sure, and the focus has been more on, I think, has shifted towards coaching and my one-on-one clients and the business itself.
Yeah.
Looking at helping support the business, because I think when Levi was born, you just realize like your responsibility has changed. You got like another mouth to feed, someone else to look after, and prepare for the future. And I think that's like for me, it was like a flip of a switch. As soon as I saw him, I was just like, all right, you know what? I'm going to dedicate my life to him.
Yeah.
And so that became a priority.
Did you expect that to happen?
No.
What did you think was going to happen
I don't
when you
know.
became a dad?
I don't know.
Did you ask anyone about this?
Yeah, I talked to Nazri for a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
So one of the reasons why I didn't want to be a dad at first, because I've seen friends who were in the gym who became dads and they stopped CrossFitting and they just kind of let loose in life. And I was like, man, I don't want to be that guy. And then
you didn't want to be that guy, as in kids will do this to you, or I need to be able. Okay, it's not like I need to figure out a way to be a dad and not have that happen. But right now the solution is don't be a dad.
Yeah. Well, I guess a bit of both. Like I was afraid kids, because I didn't know what having kids was like, right? So I was afraid kids would do that to you.
Yeah.
Because of the responsibility you had.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember talking to Luke and Nazri about it, because they're both dads. And I was like, man, how do you guys still train? Like, is it tough? Is it like, I'm asking you as well. Like, is it tough to train? Like, and they're like, you'll get it done. Like by hook, by crook, you still get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And Luke was telling me, no, John, like if it means training at 4 a.m. in the morning and you need to train at 4 a.m., you just train at 4 a.m. Like you have to sacrifice something for sure.
Yeah. I think, now that I've been a dad for 8 years.
Oh my God.
I know, right? What I've found is my only free time is when everyone else is asleep.
Yeah.
So like I used to try to do like a 5 a.m. Workout before I had kids, just to see if I could do it. Cause I think I remember, Kobe Bryant saying, I know what LA looks like at 4 a.m. Right. And I was like, yeah, man, I could do that. I could be an elite athlete mindset. And I did it for a week and I was like, this is so dumb. Yeah. Like I'm getting up before the sun's up and like I have zero motivation to train. As soon as I had my first kid, it was like every day. It was like, if I don't get it done first thing in the morning, it's not going to happen.
Correct.
Right. So yeah, you find a way.
Correct. So I think that's a big part of it. I think a big part of it is also trying to figure out a routine. Mm-hmm. So
as best as you can.
As best as you can. So how it works for us now is also because I'm a coach. So if I was like a 9-to-5 job, I don't know how I'm going to fit training in. But because I'm a coach, I have a little bit of flexibility.
Sure.
So whenever I have pockets of spaces, so it comes down to scheduling, it comes down to just organizing your life a little bit better.
Yeah.
So whenever I have an hour and a half, it's training.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not it's not time to do like to just hang out with friends and colleagues. You gotta train. Gotta make the most out of it. So then it's work in the morning. So I usually work in the mornings. So work in the mornings, train in the morning. Then can be home by about lunchtime. Spend time with Levi till about 4-ish. Then it's back to the gym again to do after work PTs or whatever I have left. And in between PTs, I'll try to train. So that's the kind of my schedule.
Yeah.
So it's been working so far, but I realize now as he's getting older, his wake time is a bit more.
Right.
So just trying to figure out shifting that constant shift of trying to spend more time with him when he's awake rather than when he's asleep.
Yeah.
Because when he's asleep, it's all good because you can do your own stuff.
Sure.
But ideally, you want to spend time with kids when they're awake.
This brings me to two questions.
Yeah.
Number one, it sounds like it takes a lot of efficiency to be able to do this. Were you always an efficient person before this, or did you have to become more efficient since fatherhood?
I think I was efficient growing up throughout life. Like it's always about, it's a problem, get it done straight away.
Yeah.
Don't wait. Well, don't wait too long. Don't wait like a week or two. Try to get it done within a week.
Yeah.
Or if you can get it done now.
Yeah.
But with Levi, definitely more efficient. Like really organizing and planning. I think if you kind of just guang ho it and just go as it is,
Yeah.
it'd be so tough.
Yeah.
Because there'd be good days, there'd be bad days, right?
Right.
But at the end of the day, I mean, when it comes to coaching and training, I think that's why soft wins are important. So I'm not really a big I'm not a big soft win believer. Do you know what soft wins are?
No.
So On did this on ON.
Mhm.
They recently did this. I think it's ON. This marketing gimmick with Elmo about soft wins. So soft wins like showing up. It's
Elmo
about-
from Sesame Street.
Yeah, I don't know why it's weird.
No, go on.
But basically, Elmo's hitting this guy, this runner.
Yeah.
Like who's doing this like test. Like, oh, I didn't achieve my goals, but I showed up. Oh, Elmo goes, it's okay. At least you showed up to try.
Yeah.
Or you showed up doing this. These are soft.
Oh, wait a
wins.
minute. It's an ad campaign,
Yeah,
right?
ad campaign. Yeah.
I've seen him do it, and like he was like in New York or something,
Yeah,
and he's
yeah,
like
yeah.
kind of like gassing people up, saying like you did great because you're here.
Yeah, correct. So
Actually, do like
those
that
are
a lot.
soft wins, right?
Yeah.
And we have hard wins, which is like I wanna hit a 100-kilo snatch.
Yeah.
Right. By the end of the cycle, I wanna hit this. So I think this is where soft wins are important because it helps chug you along.
Yeah.
But the problem with soft wins is people take advantage of it. So they go when they're feeling fresh, when they're feeling good, but they come in and they just half-ass their training session. They go, yeah, at least I showed up. I'm like, no, you didn't.
I see. It kind of
abuse
puts like a rosy picture on things that you're like underperforming based on what your actual potential is. So
Correct.
like in another way, this also cuts both ways.
Correct. Yes.
It kind of can make you soft.
Yeah, right? Makes you softer at least, right? So, but I think that helps a lot. So,
Yeah.
so the days where, Levi wakes up like 4 or 5 times in the middle of the night, and your dad is tired,
Yep.
but like, show up to training, you get it done. You don't hit the percentages, it's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's a soft win.
Yeah.
But this is because I know that when the days I'm good and I'm feeling good, I'll always push myself.
Yeah. I think it's like if you need to, if for example, the lift says hit 90% of what you're capable of today, if you ask yourself that question and say, yes, that was about 90% of what I could do today, given the circumstances.
Soft win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
then
that
if
works.
you hit your true 90%, hard win.
Okay. I got
But
it.
you gotta be vulnerable and be honest to yourself. I think a lot of people now they take the side road and be like, yeah, soft win for me today is good enough.
I see.
I'm just like, nah, it's not.
Okay. So if there's a lack of honesty, that's where it becomes a trap.
Yeah.
Now, when you're talking about conversations and being honest, the second question is, you're obviously not raising Levi by yourself, right?
No.
I'm sure there's constant communication
Yeah.
and even debate and disagreement with your wife, which I know that happens with me as well. And it's like, sometimes you have that conversation and sometimes you don't, and you know exactly the consequences of when you do versus when you don't. So what's it like having the teamwork aspect of raising a child, because you have your own goals as a person, same with your wife, you both have your own lives to dedicate to that's outside of the family. So how does that work with you guys?
Yeah. So I think my wife, I think us three in this family, she sacrificed a lot more. So she knows that. I mean, I've told her this many times. I've told her that I don't have to train or training will take a backseat. But she knows that I like training and I love training. And there's a part of her that she knows that I need to train.
Yeah.
To keep me sane.
Yeah.
Because even if I don't train, there's a shift in my mood that I think she can feel. And because it doesn't help that she's a psychologist as well.
Yeah, I see you. Yeah.
So she reads into people's actions and interactions and how they kind of interact. So she understands. She's very good in understanding where I need to be.
Yeah, it sounds like it can be such a good and bad thing for you. Is like she can help you work out your stuff because that's what she's trained in, but then you can't hide anything from her.
Nothing. It's tough because she will, and there'll be times where I'll be like, how did you know that? She goes, I know you, and I read you. So she's definitely taking the backseat. Like she's mentioned so many times she wants to work out, so she used to do CrossFit with me, but she can't because she works 9 to 5. So after work she comes home, and Levi sleeps pretty early. He sleeps about 8 at night.
Yeah.
So she only had that window of 3 hours to be with him, and obviously she wants to be with him.
Right.
So for her, I think a lot of stuff has taken a backseat. So her training has taken a backseat. Her fitness has taken a backseat. And it's truly the mom's sacrifice for the child, which I can see.
Yeah.
But she's been really good at supporting us. Not only Levi but myself as well.
Yeah.
In what we want to do.
Yeah.
coming here, for example, I was very worried that we'll spend a week here and she'll be with him the whole day. And it's very mentally tiring to be with a kid for the whole day.
For sure.
Right? Because I'm at coastal for most of the hours throughout the day. So I was a bit worried that she'll get burnt out. And I mean, she was definitely tired, and she didn't show it, but I could see she was tired. And but she kind of held like a strong figure because she knows the reason why we are all here is for me to be here in coastal, right? And if she had gone like, I think she would have felt like it'd be very unfair. She goes, can you not be with coastal today because the whole purpose of me is to be here.
Yeah.
So I think she's definitely supported me a lot in what I want to do. And you're right. Everything throughout my training, coaching, doing PTs at odd hours, it's a conversation we always have. Like I have to have, and I'm still working it. Sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta go to the gym. I got PT. She's like, what? You didn't tell me. Like, oh, oops, sorry, I forgot. Because sometimes we always change shift. We change, appointments and all that. But it's definitely like, I realize to make this more efficient, like you're talking about, if she can see my calendar, see how it runs, she'll know how to plan her time. Especially the evening, the late afternoon to evening slot, because it's when I'm back in the gym. So yeah, it does help, man. Like I think a lot of conversations, a lot of back and forth, but definitely her support helps a lot to help raise Levi, to help achieve what I want to do as well.
Do you think about, because this is something that I think about too, is definitely in the same boat as you, where I can see that my wife sacrifices more on a daily basis. If we're talking about the aggregate sum from 8 years ago to today, the amount of sacrifices that she's chosen to make to accommodate for the family and to accommodate for me, it's been so much. And it's like, I want to help you. Like I want to support you. I want to be able to make these sacrifices too, because I want you to be able to go out and work out. I want you to go out and have fun with your friends. Like I've told her, before, like, hey, if you want to have plans with your friends, you go ahead and do that. Like I'm cool hanging out with the girls tonight and whatever. Do you think about how you could support your wife and stuff like that? What does that conversation with yourself or with her look like?
So like a good example is like she wants to work out. I'm like, yeah, cool, work out. Like you know what? Like we can definitely figure out time. So she can only work out after work at 5. So she probably do like a 5 o'clock class or 6 o'clock class. I'm like, look, I can most definitely reschedule whatever I have and just be home. Because but she doesn't want to do it yet because she doesn't want to skip out of any hours she'll have away from Levi. But she's slowly been back to workout. So on the weekends she'll work out when I'm at home. On Sundays, for example, she'll go do yoga and stuff like that. So she's slowly transitioning back. It's just been a slower process that she had thought. But yeah, I you're right. I try as much as I can to give her back her normal life. But I don't know if it's a mom's guilt or she just doesn't want to yet. So I kind of have to respect what she wants at the same time. But she knows that if she ever needs, like, she wants to hang out with friends, I will majority of the time will say yes. Like, I'll handle Levi. Shouldn't be a problem for an hour or two.
I think part of the reason why I'm having this conversation with you about this specific subject is because I think as dads, it's just like, we want to help. Like our job is to fix problems, right? And we see a problem, we want to find a solution. And sometimes we see the consequences of that in the sense of like, sometimes when our wives are telling us about their problem, they're not asking us for solutions. They just want to be able to have an ear to listen to.
Correct.
Right? Where it doesn't mean we need to fix the situation. It's just like, I'm having a hard day. And one thing that reminds me in this conversation is, Izzy, she's a mom and her daughter. It's the two of them right now, and they're having a great time. They have their disciplined days of going out and, in the morning and going out at night, to book in their days with outside time. And for her, everything that she's doing, I think she said for the next 3 years, it doesn't matter if myself is on the backseat while my daughter is having the best childhood of her life. It's an investment for the future, in terms of making sure this person is the best human possible. And I think that's part of it too, where right now you're putting investments in your career right now, and you have to make sacrifices in order to have a greater career in the future. I think that's also kind of what happens in parenthood, and specifically for your wife with motherhood, is perhaps this is what's important to her right now. And of course, if she's not kind of her old self now, she's not going to the gym like she used to, she's not going out with friends like she used to right now, it's because, Levi's this, quickly growing child who's going to be this amazing human being
Yeah.
in the future. And I want to be here for it to help support that.
Yeah.
So I think it's a nice perspective to show that like sometimes life isn't balanced.
No, it's not. Yeah, you're right.
But it'll be balanced in the future. But right now we got to take care of what's a priority.
Right.
And it's kind of nice to see that perspective of like, look, we can't have it all.
Yeah.
Right. And it'd be nice, but I think that's what makes life beautiful is knowing that, the tough situations we're in now, it's all worth it in the future.
Yeah.
So like to kind of cap this for you is like, what is your future looking like?
That's a good question.
Like what's the future that you're working towards?
So I think from a personal point of view, I've had a few conversations with Ed about this as well throughout the week about what I want to do in the future. I don't have anything. So I have goals that I want to tick off, like be a better coach, be a better father, be a better husband. But I think one of the bucket lists that I want to do when I have is to work overseas. So I think and that's a personal goal, and it's a conversation I had with my wife before as well. And I feel like now's the best time because Levi is not in school yet. I think it's a lot harder when he's in school. I'm going to move him from school to school.
Yeah,
but he's not in school yet, so he's relatively young. So I feel like the fitness industry in Brunei, because we are still so new, our ceiling isn't that great, isn't that high. And then me working in one of the, what I personally feel is the best gyms in Brunei, has brought me very close to the ceiling.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're positioned upwards in terms of in the business, the hierarchy. But I just feel like coming here, for example, I realized that it's so much more outside just the coaching classes.
Yeah.
There's so many avenues you could have outside coaching classes.
Yeah.
Like there's the podcast, there's the build program, there's the High Rocks program. It's like so many avenues you can have, right? And I think one of the biggest takeaways from this trip here is that how I saw the gym, it's not how I now know that that's not the way to look at the gym. So the gym isn't just clients come in, they get a service and they leave.
Right. It's not just the walls.
No.
Right. It's there's so much that
more.
can be outside of the walls.
And it just takes a little bit of creativity, guts, I guess, or belief to make that happen.
Yeah.
Like I used to be a business owner, and I used to think, how can I increase revenue? It's just inside the four walls.
Yeah.
Right. Like make classes better. How do I attract more members? But there's so many ways to do it, right? Like creating the dream room, for example. Like no one's really ever done that. A room where they can have a sauna and ice bath. Because maybe people are too afraid to try it, or So I just think things like that to grow businesses. I feel like outside of Brunei, there's a lot more ideas around that I want to learn and experience. Like coming here was a big eye opener. And I can only imagine, just what I've learned in a week. Imagine if I was here for a year. And yeah, man. So I think one of the goals, and I spoke to my wife as well, is to try and work overseas for a year or two.
Yeah.
Just to immerse myself in different culture, different coaching styles, members. I think member culture is very different as well.
Yeah.
Like I think Asians are a little bit more reserved, especially in Brunei, reserved in expressing our potential.
Yeah.
But I think the Westerners are a bit more, hey man, if your potential is this, let's reach it.
I see.
And I want to kind of immerse myself in that.
Yeah.
That culture as well. So I think
I can sense your kind of excitements in in the picture ahead.
Yeah. So that's the goal. But I understand obviously family comes first. So it's a big ask for my wife because she's got a good job. She's the principal of the school.
Yep.
Asking her to give her dreams up for me is a big ask. Even though it's only a short term thing, like a 2 year stint. I think 2 years is long enough to change the environment, change the landscape of how her job at least. So it's a conversation that I've had with Ed, with myself, my wife. But that's where I want to head towards.
Sure.
And if I don't get it, if that never happens at all,
Mhm.
I'll be fine with it
Mhm.
because I understand, like, just like how I want to be a top level athlete. As we mature, we get older, other things takes priority, right?
Yeah.
Levi is probably the most important thing right now,
Yeah.
person right now. So if she feels that it doesn't benefit him,
Mhm.
then I'm willing to put my aspirations aside for him.
Yeah. But at least right now you can see that there is a window of opportunity.
Yes.
Right. And just like with anything else, whether it's, athletics or career, if you have a chance to do it,
Yeah.
you don't want to wonder
No.
after
Correct.
the chance closes
Correct.
what could have been.
Correct. And I hate that. I think when Jab came about, I told myself never say no.
Mm.
Like whatever opportunity comes up, to say yes. Let's try it.
Yeah.
If you fail, you fail, man. It's fine.
Okay.
So that's the dream, and working towards it. Being here for a week, being in mentorship meetings with Tammy and Ant,
Yeah.
is good because I feel like what was discussed between the coaches
Mm.
and the mentors, I understand.
Yeah.
I can contribute. So I feel like my level of knowledge is somewhat on par.
Nice.
So it brings confidence in me. Like I have that confidence that, yeah, I could probably do it overseas. It's just
Nice, man.
find the right opportunities, right?
Yeah. So, do you, whatever this is that it will be in the future, do you believe that you can do it?
Yeah, most definitely.
Why do you believe that you can do it?
So I believe the experience and knowledge I've had over the last however many years I've coached has prepared me for this. I believed having the right mentor. So I don't have many mentors in my life, especially as a coach. But Ed is definitely one I feel who has, whenever I need help, he'll kind of give me 5 minutes of his time to kind of show me the way.
Yeah.
Having a mentor will help, and because he's also quite he's been around in bigger, I guess, platforms in terms of coaching. He'll know how to advise. So I feel like having a mentor will help guide me as well. So I feel like I have good support, and that having good support or back team will allow you to kind of thrive.
Yeah.
So I feel very confident, wherever it may be, that there'll be success to it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I wanted to close with that question because anytime you're on this path and you start to doubt yourself, you're like, is this going to work out? I want you to go back to this episode.
That's good.
And, listen to yourself saying why you believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Watch yourself and see what it looks like on your face when you believe in yourself. Because that's what I saw in the last 5-10 minutes right now when talking.
That's good. I did not expect that.
So yeah, that's the parting gift here is, we've all had an awesome time having you here.
Thank you.
I remember the first time when we met in 2024 during the athlete camp, I was like in the midst of like, I don't know, Ebola virus or something.
Died.
And I only was able to talk to you and Nazri for like 5-10 minutes before like clocking out and having to go back home. So it's been awesome being able to see you here while I'm healthy and being able to train together, and to have this podcast episode. And just like, it's really cool that, you got married when you're 28, you had your kid when you're about 30. So like, we're kind of in this very similar kind of rhythm of life where I'm transitioning. I mean, I've never been an elite athlete or, up the ranks or anything like that, but I'm looking more at my career and I want to spend more time on the projects that I'm doing, whether it's this podcast or on the course or whatever it is with the process. I want to put more energy into that. And it's so cool seeing that your energy is shifting and that you're excited about different things, because that's how we create longevity in what we do is finding these new opportunities and leaning into it. So again, I wish you the best with your career in the short term and long term. I wish for you in the best with your athletic endeavors. I wish you the best for your wife and your family. No matter if it's just Levi or if you guys have a second kid, I don't know, but whatever the future holds for you, I see a lot of opportunity and potential, and I'm just excited to kind of keep track of it.
No, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So, with that, thanks for being on the podcast, and remind yourself
I will
that you believe in yourself, and that matters.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Oi.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Before we say goodbye, here's one crazy statistic for you. Did you know that almost 40% of people who listen to the show don't actually subscribe to it? Now, I didn't think that was a big deal until I actually learned about the power of hitting subscribe. For you, the listener, you get to stay up to date when we drop episodes on a weekly basis. But for us as a podcast, it really helps our visibility and helps us attract great brands and great listeners to help grow this podcast. So if you enjoyed this episode or you're a big fan of the show, please do us a massive favor and hit subscribe. Thank you so much.